This is the application for the Reolink Altas outdoor camera. Here you can see this is a battery powered camera, so it is not giving us a live feed, and we have our not connected in the lower right hand corner because it's preserving battery. We do have a quick access to our settings for the camera, and we could toggle on and off the PIR sensor right from here. So if we want to increase that battery savings. Lower left hand corner, we have a battery indicator and a sun icon indicating that it is currently charging via solar. To access, we simply tap and that will bring us into the live feed, which I'm going to mute and temporarily pause to again save on battery. Upper left hand corner, we can see the name as well as the bitrate, and it is dropping to 0 because I turned off the live feed. I will turn that back on for you just so you get an example of what your bitrate looks like. This is on the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. Coming across the top here, we have our alarm. Selecting this and then tapping here will turn on the alarm outside, which sounds like this. To the right of our alarm, we have our torch or flashlight. Turning this on will turn on all the LEDs that are on this camera. Now, I really like how Reolink handles this in that there's a little blue in front of that, letting you know that your lights are actually on. Some other cameras don't do that. To the right of that, we have our 4 boxes. This is our view, and this is going to be, hey, do you have other Reolink cameras? Well, we can show you these in a grid, and most of my other cameras are currently off from Reolink. I have one here that's upside down, but this is if you had lots of Reolink cameras, you could have them all display in one little grid. You can also double tap to bring up the last grid that you had. So if I had the 4 grid and I double tap, it'll bring me to the 4 grid, and then double tapping brings you back in. To the right of that, those are our settings. We'll look at that a little later. Then we have our 3 dots. This is immersive mode, which is, hey, show me everything without any of the functional settings. And then we have picture in picture or the float mode. This is one thing I like. So this is, you could be checking your email or doing other things and have your camera open and visible in the background. Coming to our picture here, you cannot double tap to zoom in because it will bring up the grid view, but you can pinch to zoom. And right now I have this on 4K, so the highest view that I can get, and that's pretty far away. That's the fence line down there. I can see individual blades of grass here. Now, yes, I can double tap to pull that all the way back out. It is a little washed out because I'm getting like the highest point of my sun today right now, but there's over in the shadows. So that's our view. We have our play pause to start the live feed or pause it to save on battery and or data. We have our mute unmute to turn sound on and off. To the right of that, we have a camera icon. Tapping that will give you a still image of whatever is on your screen. To the right of that, this is your record. This will be a live feed of anything that's on your screen. So if something was moving around like that robot lawnmower, you would see it and record it. And stopping it will save that video and add it to your share location, which we will get to. To the right of that, we have our setting for how sharp your image is. They have clear and fluent, which is really high and low. If you want to use that 4K, make sure you're on clear, which you can see it says high. To the right of that is our full screen mode, which will shift around where the icons are, but we can tap this to bring it back to our standard mode right here. Coming down, we have our talk. If I select talk, it will open up the talk menu and I could tap to talk, and this is full duplex, so the people outside are hearing me actually talk right now without me having to hold down this button. To stop, you simply select the X in the upper right hand corner and it stops your audio outside. To the right of our talk, we have our playback. This is going to be where you're going to find your recordings and motion triggers, things of that nature. They're all going to be kind of on this timeline. And then right here, you can see it's telling me what type of event it is. So I got a lot of motion events. And over here, this particular one, if I select it, it's a motion and a pet or an animal. So right there, it is my lawnmower going out and doing things. And then it either has mistaken the lawnmower for a pet or a squirrel or something will run through frame. Now, if you wanted to download this particular clip, you simply come to the upper right-hand corner, select the download icon. And one of the things that I like about Reolink is they'll allow you to adjust the timing on this particular clip so you don't have to save the entire clip if you only want like a 3-second bit. You then hit the download and that will download it to your phone. You also have the ability to, on some of these longer clips, like this one, which has a person, pet, and motion, which is just me walking around outside, you can slow this down to 0.25, allowing it to really kind of chop through frame if you want. And then you could also delete it right from there if you so chose. Moving down, we have, this is very similar to the live feed, our playback and pause. Here are audio, snap a still frame, record what's being seen rather than downloading it, high, low, and then full screen. And you can see right there, clear and fluid. And if I scrub this to about here, this is where there'll be another event. So that probably is, yeah, that's the lawnmower out there doing its thing. So it thought that was an animal, which to be fair, it's a rather small lawnmower. Right here, you could see we've got a date timeline and then our specific date here. If I wanted to change the date, I simply select that, and anything that is highlighted in white is something where something was recorded. So I can come to the 17th and then select confirm. And this is going to show me on the timeline, hey, here's some of the events. If I don't like this view, I could simply select these three dots and it will change to more of a grid view instead of a film style. And I could change it back, or I can hit the X completely if I want to get out of the playback area. But hypothetically, let's say on this particular day, I want to see just people. I can come down here to this icon right here. This is our filter. So I could say, just show me people and confirm. And rather than having all those motion events or animal events, it's just picking out the ones that have me in it. So I could select that. And there I am outside picking up garbage. And then just like before, we can come to the upper right, download this, and that will save a copy of that video to your smartphone. And that is all of the camera controls for the Reolink Altas. So let's move up to the settings icon. Well, when we come to the settings, we have the name and a picture of it, as well as the used space and our current Wi-Fi signal strength. Tapping here will bring up a lot of sensitive information, so I will not be showing you that, but just know firmware, things like that are all located there. Coming down, we have our battery. As I mentioned before, it's got a sun icon, so it is solar charging. If I tap on this, it's going to show me, hey, here's some battery information for you, and then runtime versus charge time. So it's giving you a chart, and this is over the last 4 weeks. Right now, you can see as I'm filming this portion, it hasn't been running for 4 weeks, but we're going to select back and come down to our Wi-Fi. If we need to change or select our Wi-Fi, this is where we do it from. Under that, we have display. Selecting display will bring up a live feed, giving you an idea of what's happening, but we have the option to flip your view vertically. Notice I'm not changing the camera, I'm just changing the view. So we can flip vertically or have standard. We can flip horizontal, so left to right. Reolink is one of the few camera manufacturers that I've seen that allows you to have this particular option, because there are those that might need that. Underneath that, we have stream. So here we have our clear and fluent settings. If I come into this, I can change the resolution, I can change the frame rate, and I can change the max bit rate. That is one of the great things about Reolink and their cameras. They give you a level of customization that you don't often see in consumer-based camera setups. Coming down, we have our anti-flicker. So we've got our different hertz rates. Most of the time, you won't have to worry about that because it'll be pre-programmed for your region. Underneath that, we have our brightness. So right now, you really don't have to worry about it because it's really bright out, and the sensor in this for color night vision is really good. But if things are a little too dark or a little too bright, you could simply adjust your slider to make things brighter or darker. So there you can see if I do that, it kind of lessens up on those harsher, bright view that I had before. So using that as our example, I'll lower that. It's a little too much, but there you go. You can kind of see the grass a little better. Double tap to bring that back out, and I'll put it back to about where I had it. Moving down, we have camera name. So that's Reolink Altas over there. You could select its location, top, left, center, lower, etc. You also have that for the date. Where do you want the date to appear? And then if you want to have the video watermarked with the Reolink name, I like having that there because I like to know where my video is coming from, which one of my many cameras that I have. Underneath that, we have privacy mask. This is a very great feature, especially on a camera that doesn't move. And this will allow you to, as you see them demonstrating here, allow you to create a privacy zone. So let's say over here, where that robot is. I don't want to see that. If I create a privacy zone, well, now it's not going to show up in my live feed. It's not going to show up in my recordings. It is dead to this camera. It will not be able to see anything that moves into that area. This is really good if, hypothetically, over here, if I go back into my privacy mask, I've got a house. If I create one for over here, if somebody happens to be out on their balcony, I can block them from view of my cameras. It's a courtesy thing. I like it. Moving down, we have brightness and shadow. So this is a way that you can really dial in the look from your actual camera. Right now I have both of these set on auto, but if I turn this off, I can adjust my brightness. I can adjust the shadow. And then if I overdo this for whatever reason, if I do that, and then the picture looks horrible like it is right now, don't worry, simply restore the default values and your picture will go back to what it should be. But if you don't want to, you could simply leave that on auto mode. You could do the same thing for color night mode. Now, this is not the best time to show this because it's not actually night right now, but if you needed to dial in the look of your night mode, you could do that right there instead of just relying on the overall brightness toggle that you had there. But that was all under our display. Moving on to sound, you have record audio on and off. If you live in an area where you need to turn off your audio, this is how you do that. And then we have our sound. How loud do you want this to be? You can run a test, simply do that, and it pushes a sound out to the camera. Moving on, we have lights. For this particular portion of my testing, I have the LED status light off. They call it closed. So that will mean that you do not see a blue light on the front of this camera. If you want to enable that, you simply select there, and then you will have a blue LED status light. Spotlights. This camera does not have IR lights. It relies completely on its color night vision sensor as well as LEDs. Again, during this portion of my testing, I have the LED lights off, but if you wanted them to come on at night, you simply select this option, and when movement is detected, it will turn those lights on, and then you even have a toggle for how bright you want the lights to be. So that's a great option and great feature. But let me tell you, even if you have a little ambient light in your backyard from a neighbor's spotlight or something like that, you're going to get really good color night vision without the use of the LEDs. However, the LEDs are extremely impressive in the amount that they actually light up. Coming down, we have our PIR motion sensor. This is a heat-based motion sensor for this camera. You could toggle it on or off, and then you could set your sensitivity, and it will even show you, hey, here's the range based on what you're telling us to do. You also have the ability to reduce false alarms. I have not yet had to do that with any of my Reolink cameras, but I also normally use them in my backyard or side yard, not in a super active area, but even with pets, I have not had to change the PIR sensor. Here we have detection alarm. Right here we have non-detection zone, person, vehicle, animal, or other. If I do person, I can select a zone. What this will do is not give you a notification that something is occurring in this area. So if I wanted to, over here, this is my neighbor's area, don't tell me if a person comes in there, and then I save it, or I can erase it, or I can paint all. But again, the level of customization that you get for a consumer-based camera is remarkable. You also have motion masking. What this will do is as somebody walks through frame, they'll get a box around them, letting you know, hey, here's an object that's moving. You probably should pay attention to it. Alarm setting, we have our sensitivities and smart detections. This will allow you to, hey, if this type of thing comes into frame, I want you to be more sensitive. So like for human, maybe I want this up by like 90, but I don't really get vehicles in my backyard. So I'm going to lower that. And animals, I'll say 70. I want to know they're there, but I don't really care if they're there. I really care if there's a person in my backyard. So I hit save, and now all of those smart detections have been altered. And you could do even further customization with object size for person, vehicle, and animal. So if I do an animal and I say minimum object size, so this orange box represents the smallest that this object should be before I get notified or a trigger event happens. Now I can shrink this down. Maybe I don't want something small like a squirrel setting this off, but I do care about a bunny or a fox. That's a good object size for that. I can also set maximum object size. So this will get my deer, my coyote, but if a black bear happens to walk through my backyard, it's not going to get set off by this. And if I don't want either of those, I could simply delete them. And again, you could do that for a person, for vehicles. It's a lot of customization. I realize that, but that is one of the great things about Reolink cameras. Coming back, that was all under our detection alarms. We're moving on to camera recording. Right now, camera recording is on. We have motion record schedule on. And for me, it's 24/7. I want it to always be looking for these things. If I don't necessarily want it on, I can select there. I don't want that. I don't want that. And it's based on a day, week, and time grid. Now, I'm not going to save any of that, but just know that's how you can make adjustments. We've got automatic recording extension, so it uses AI to help make sure that you get the complete motion event. Here we have our pre-motion event, so allowing you to start the recording before motion event is technically detected, which does consume more power, but if you absolutely need to make sure that you get the complete event and you're worried about, hey, it triggered, but it didn't catch everything, this is an option that you could play with. And here we could see pre-record stop battery level. So when the battery gets to 20%, it won't do this anymore. And then pre-record time, you can go as low as 2 seconds or up to 10 seconds. That's going to get as much of the event as possible. And then you have your frame rate. So right now it's on 3 FPS, which is continue working for 5 days on 100% battery. If you leave this option on, 1 frame, you get 7 days, and then 5, you get 4 days. So just use this accordingly. And then you can even schedule where it's always on or custom, and you get that grid like we had before, or you get a start time, end time, and days of the week, allowing you to select when that will happen to help save you battery. And then we have our continuous recording schedule. Do you want it to record 24/7? Well, you could. You're going to kill your battery very quickly if you wanted to. Moving down from our camera recording, we come to push notification. Right now I have this turned off, but if we turn this on, this will allow you to send and receive rich notification. So that's going to be, hey, here's going to be a picture as well as a notification. You do have to subscribe to Reolink for that. So it's the one thing that they do get you for. And then you have device notification ringtone. You can select what type you want, urgent, important notification. And then schedule, if you want this only during specific times. Similarly, you can do email alerts where it will send, rather than a push notification to your phone, it will send an email letting you know, hey, something's going on. You do have to set that up, so you do have to kind of put in your email information there if you wanted to receive that. FTP, you can toggle this on or off. Do you know what FTP is? Yes or no? If you don't, stay out of there. You don't need to mess with it. If you do, there's your options for it. Siren, right now I have it off, but I can turn this on, and here's our siren sound. Default sound sounds like this. Or we can do a custom sound where I can, hey, you kids, get off my lawn. I see you there. Go away. Now it's sending this to the camera. And if I press play, this will now be the sound that people hear outside.
Hey, you kids, get off my lawn. I see you there. Go away.
I can apply, re-record, or move on. And then I can always change the custom sound where I can just re-record it. So now I can toggle between default sound and custom sound. Here we have our pre-alarm sound. So when motion is detected, you will receive a pre-alarm sound, meaning, hey, if it detects motion, it's going to say, it's going to make a noise. And you can have that set to either your siren sound or your changed sound. I recommend turning that off, especially if you have people that really like go through your yard and you don't want to scare them off. You can also set that up on a schedule. So when would you like that particular action to happen if you actually want that to stay in place? Moving down, we have our time lapse. This will allow you to, if we select try now, there are some settings right here that Reolink recommends. Like, hey, do you want moving clouds? It'll do it for 1 hour, take every 10 seconds, and it will do today. Hit again, sunset. It'll last for an hour. Here are the customizations. If you want to be in full control, you simply select customize and you can start capture when, how long do you want it for? An hour, and you can go days, minutes. It's crazy the level of customization you have. Interval, like how many shots in between. So it gives you recommendation based on what you're trying to do. Quality, how high you want the visual to be, and then type video or photo. Always recommend video unless you want hundreds of photos that you have to stitch together yourself. And then once it actually does that, up here in the upper right hand corner, this is where you'd be able to see and download those time lapse. Moving on, we have our file encryption. This will encrypt the video files on the camera itself. If you do this, you will need to have the code for the camera. So it's that 2-step factor, making it extra secure. Now, you don't necessarily need to do this, but if you do this, if somebody takes the SD card out of your camera and puts it in another camera or their computer, they will not be able to access your video files if you have enabled encryption. It is an extra step, so weigh your options as to convenience versus security. And then last down here, we have our advanced. We have share this device. If I click the plus sign in the upper right hand corner, I can share this particular device. So I can allow a manager, or I can do a view only. I can set an authorization end, and then remarks, and then generate a code that I can share with somebody. Illegal login lockout. If you turn this on, if somebody tries to access your account too many times with the wrong password, it will lock them out for a time of 5 minutes and then require the password for you even to get in. Here we have our change device password, not the account, the singular camera password. That's what you'd be changing. And then we've got our date and time. So right now it's synced with my phone, so we're good. I can reboot or restore from there. And then if I bring it back to this page, I can log out or delete this particular camera. And that has been everything that we can do for the Reolink Altas in the Reolink app.